What is up, everybody? How are y'all doing? I hope you had a fabulous week. Let's get the weekend started right. So, I wanted to get into another one of these reels from the Sean Ryan show. Like I said, they're quite long. This one is probably the longest one that I have heard, but it's probably the most fascinating and interesting one out of any of them that I heard. Um, I don't know if you guys will remember the name Chris Beck, which then went to Kristen Beck. So, I love the way Mr. Sean Ryan starts out the show. He flat out says, I don't give a shit about this cancel culture bullshit. I'm going to say what's on my mind, and if they want to cancel me for my opinion, so be it. Because I think the false pretenses of free speech is out there that, hey, share your opinion, share this, share that. And when you do, and it's not supported by mainstream, when it's not supported by mainstream, media or mainstream thought practice, I guess. I don't know how you would describe it, but immediately they want to cancel your ass because you're not going with the curve, you're not going with the flow. You're different. You're preaching against this, and you're transphobic, you're homophobic, you're all these phobics or racist, which is that if you would have and Dave Chappelle has a good point on this. A lot of people underestimate Dave Chappelle because he is the GOAT when it comes to comedy, but he is also very freaking smart, man. He even said, like, where the LGBTQ community has landed in such a short amount of time when people were so against it. I don't know how many of you guys are like my age. I'm 40. Yeah, just turned 43. I still vaguely recall, like the AIDS commercials and how it was condemned, like, if like blatantly condemned and like uh, blaming gays just for, this. And we couldn't be more wrong. It didn't matter if you were a homophobic or not a homophobic, if you were, you know, if you liked guys, if you liked women, if you were just omni open to everything, you can transmit it either way. But the thought practice back then was, you know, it was harsh. So he had made a relevant statement saying, you guys have came further along than race issues. Race is still a problem in this country, more so than what the LGBTQ community was. And you guys have surpassed us in being accepted. I'm not black, but I'm Hispanic. And as I've said plenty of times, I went to a private Christian school where I was one of four minorities: two Asians, one African American, or black, however they, prefer to be called, and me, Hispanic. So I only got in because of football. That's the only reason why I got in. I was big, 320 pounds when I was a freshman, and I could run fast, which shocked them. So, of course, immediately, they wanted to see me play for the JV squad at first, which was stupid, which started before the varsity squad, and I, just bulldozing these little kids. So then I got to start as a freshman, which kind of sucks for the upperclassmen. But anyways, the point that I'm getting at is that, race issues still exist. But again, there's a lot of issues that exist that a lot of people can't talk about. And if I haven't said it already, when this guy, Sean Ryan, comes out, he interviews a chief commander of one of the SEAL teams who also worked very closely with the Pentagon. He was ahead of the IRONMAN project, which a lot of people thought was farce, but it is and has been a real thing. So when, of course, the Iron Man movies came out, they started building exoskeleton suits, which just means, a suit that's built outside of the human body. But they were bulky, they were clunky, they were powered, and of course that power is not going to last unless you have some type of nuclear, fission going on. The power is going to die out, and you're going to be just helpless in a suit. So he had proposed several ideas. I mean, this man was, Purple Heart recipient, chief of his whole squadron, so everybody had to ask him permission, and then he shocked the world. From what you see from all these guys who came from the Navy SEALs, they all come back, and I've seen it 100,000 times. It feels like when I worked at the VA with TBI, from the concussive forces of throwing a flashbang or charge breach, grenades, shooting off. Sorry about that. Shooting off those, you know, I can't even think of it, but 7.62 rounds, which are pretty concussive. And that causes your brain to literally stop functioning the way it should. Many of the people who end up having these little brain spots, they're just like dark black spots where it looks like your brain neurology, has completely died. There's no connectivity going to it, and end up in wheelchairs. And the last guy that I profiled, this DJ Shipley guy, awesome story. I suggest you check out the ending because that is the most craziest part of that whole show is the ending. What he came out with and confessed is just wow. I commend him for that. But he made international news. The guy I'm talking about, his name was Chris Beck. He worked very closely with the CIA, with the Pentagon, and secretaries of departments. And that is a pretty big deal. And he came up with a lot of the shit that is still relevant today in use technology-wise. Once he was officially out of the Navy SEALs, he said, he went in for counseling like they always suggest for anybody with TBI. And yeah, that he kind of got coerced in by this lady, like, we should write a book about your journey. He was like, well, what do you mean? She's like, to feel accepted for how you want to be. And so he ends up getting a boob job and becomes Kristen Beck. And it's very weird to see because you don't hear, I've heard of a former Navy SEAL becoming a killer with his wife. They tried to rob a Hooters. Cop stopped him, opened her purse, found a knife. There was still hair and scalp left to it. Jesus Christ. And his ass got sent away, and so did she. Both equally fucked up in the head. But for this guy, all he did was want to express the way he felt because of traumatic memories he had from a child. And so if you guys want to hear this, let me know. I'm just posting this first because it is a very interesting story, but it's very long, and I want to give it the respect it deserves. But before that, there's a couple of songs. I've kind of been on a nostalgic run here, listening to some good songs. So I might push out a couple of songs here. One guy that I recently just heard of today, in fact, wanted to get you guys' take on it. So let me know what you think about me posting this Navy SEAL, badass killer, chief and Purple Heart recipient, and becomes transgender and then reverses back to a male because he was coerced by the very counselor who was helping him for his TBI. Instead, she saw that there was a profit gain, wrote a book, and then he made himself public as Kristen Beck. Ended up finding a woman who was never attracted to women, even though she refers to him as Kristen. They're engaged. I believe they might even be married. But it's a really interesting story. And right now I'm saying it because, again, I don't know if I said this earlier, but Sean Ryan, he comes out and just says that he's like, fuck this cancel culture. If they're going to stop me from my opinion or whatever, let them. But seriously, like, how can you? I mean, nowadays you can hardly say anything without being just, it's not, everything is up for debate now. It's like you can't just say your opinion without somebody opposing to it. So, I mean, I get it. All the times people are like, oh, reaction videos are stupid. Well, you'll find that a lot of people like reaction videos. Just like, we would watch, was it Siskel and Ebert when they're reviewing movies? That is a reaction to a review that, they're getting out. We react to a lot of things. A trailer, when something about Star Wars drops or Marvel, like, everybody's like there on pins and needles, and people like hearing, other people's opinions. I'm not saying that because my channel, because I've actually made a few original videos as well, mostly reaction videos, but I have made some original stuff. And I'm not sticking up for myself. I'm just saying, like, I like doing reaction videos because, you know, I appreciate the work that they put into it. And for my original videos, I put work into it as well. Told the story about what had occurred the night at my friend's house, former friend, and that was fucked up. But anyways, if you guys want to hear that, let me know. Before I go on with that, I'm gonna post this crazy insane dude who just he fucking blew my mind. So get ready to hear something cool after this. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll like I said, if you guys want to hear this next one, just let me know. Thank you.